Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This is my first YouTube video doing audio impressions. I am the Tone Deaf Monk, and I just wanted to bring to you and show you my impressions of an IEM that I thought was my end game, and this bad boy is called the GS Audio SE12. 12 drivers per side, all BA and EST. Let's go. So before I get into the review of the GS Audio SE12, just wanted to let you know a little bit where I'm coming from. So this is my desk where I do most of the heavy lifting, listening, sitting beside my bed as well. So multi-purpose. And this station kind of using the Gishelli AKM J2. I am not sponsored by them. I got the stickers and the t-shirt because those guys are wicked cool. Everything runs balanced or 4.4 somewhere up to the Loxy P20 and the topping A90D. So for me, that's my gear here. When I'm downstairs in a chair, I use this either Shanling UP5, if I feel like an ESS DAC, or I love this little new shoe Cirrus Logic DAC. Also because I have a Ibasso DX160 that I love that chip in as well. This is kind of the upgrade of that. Both for me are middle between the super, not super warm, I wouldn't say, with the AKM. It just adds a little bit with that DAC, and the ESS stuff, which I find a little bit crisper, sharper, whenever you be, but it depends on the IEM. So that's kind of how I listen. For me, all genres are open game. I listen to whether it be classical, rock, jazz, AC/DC, Aussie, Hani Irani, kind of, you know, when I feel like piano, I'm a big jazz fan. Jimmy Smith, Poncho Sanchez, I grew up with all that. Pretty good stuff. Anyway, let's get into the GS Audio SE12s. Enough dribble about that. So here's the SE12. You can see that it's a gorgeous, well-engineered, well-designed IEM. The clear resin shells are baller, really. I mean, you're paying $1,000. You better get something that looks pretty amazing, and they certainly do. Inside, you can see the BAs. You can see, and this one uses a combination of Sonyan, and they're well regarded. The Sonyan for the subs, a combination of Knowles high-end stuff for the upper mids, and again back to Sonyan for its 4 ESTs. So with all that, you would think that this thing does have some high frequency energy, and oh yeah, it certainly does, more than my preferred preference. Even though it got on the very verge of sibilant for me, because I'm a bit trouble sensitive. If you like your highs, you're gonna like the energy that the SE12 can put out. That's for sure. One of the things I want to mention that was weird, never had happened before, and probably because, you know, it's a chunky boy. I mean, even inside you can see a 3D printed kind of sound tube chambers that direct the sound from the BAs into a single tube, just because there's so many, and then again 3 different tubes coming out into the nozzle, and the nozzle's chonky. It's big. I mean, the whole thing is, I think, fairly large. If you had small, medium ears, this might not fit, just because the shell size is pretty big. Just for comparisons here is a, it's hard to tell because the clear versus but the Let's Sure EJ07M resin is bigger. But this feels bigger, and then compared to the Zens Up, again, a bigger IEM, but it feels smaller. So one of the weird thing I had with this, though, is that it was like a sound pressure buildup in my ears. So I ended up, oh man, I tip rolled like mad. Like, thank goodness I had a billion different tips. And I ended up settling on this hugely wide bore, double flange, very soft tip. Because what was happening is I would put like the Osla crystal medium large, normally that's my thing, 13.3 mil, into my ears, and this thing would fit so snug and get such a good seal that when I moved my jaw or I breathed, what was happening was that it was changing. It was either changing like the tip and the whole sound signature. So was getting weird. 1 minute you'd have massive bass, the next minute you'd have none, and it was uncomfortable. So 5 minutes I wanted to pull them out of my ears, and that was it. And until I put and found these things in my collection, I was ready to give up on the SE or on the SE12. I really was. And when I first got them, again, you know, that honeymoon stage, I thought this was endgame. And then the EJ07Ms got found, long story. And then I found, or I picked up a pair of Zens Up. And until that happened, I was like, well, yeah, this is my end game. This is what I was, you know, it works for me. And then the honeymoon phase wore off. I normally give it about 10 days off, you know, just to make sure my sound impressions are what I thought they were. And then when I went back to it, and then I was doing, you know, more listening between the other ones, I was like, maybe it's not my end game. What do I like? And it was some really mindful thought that went into what it is that I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. Other than this extremely weird end in this tips. Like, if you put a 12 mil tip stretched over this nozzle, it'll be 14. Like, it's just that big. Just something to be aware of. It's just sound signature wise in the SE12, the BAs versus dynamic driver. Dynamic drivers for me have, in this application at least, I find dynamic drivers like in the Let's Sure, the beryllium there, and same as the Zens, adds a note weight to it, where kick drums, male vocals, it just adds in male vocals, for instance. This was a bit weak in that. In male vocals, Sting, Chris Rea, you know, I just found that it just didn't sound like it did live. And it was missing something. And it's not like, if you looked at the graph, I mean, this thing's got tons of sub bass, transitions nicely, smoothly into tons of mid bass. This is definitely not a harmonish tuning. It's different. It's kind of special in its own way. Back to the tuning on the SE12, just talking about from the lowest octaves and moving up. Sub bass, yeah, it's got tons. When there was presence, when there was the frequencies in the lowest octaves, yeah, it would play it. It would tickle your ear hairs, and it's a fun listen for sure. You'd think with the graph and all the mid bass that's present in the graph that it would have a heft to the male vocals, but I find, again, and maybe that's my preference, but the dynamic drivers just do so much better a job, and the BAs are fast, and probably because of that doesn't add as much note weight for me to make this one end game. You know what I mean? So and that's really, if you didn't have something to compare against, it'd be tough. But sitting beside the EJ07s and the Zens Up, you kind of notice this a whole lot more. Jazz instruments sound natural. Kick drums were weak. Also, just for this bad boy, I would put it on a warmer source. And again, that could be my preference because I'm treble sensitive and I kind of like that. But it has a lot of high frequency energy, more than my preferred. And so the warmer sounding sources kind of knocked it down a bit, smoothed it out, made it a nicer listen. The SE12, I do not think is an all-rounder, nor an end game for me, at least. Not with the back and forth. The pressure thing, the ear tip, thing. One of the other things I want to mention is, and it's probably because the BAs and the ESTs require more power to make them go. My personal experience was dynamic drivers. A 6-inch was easier to drive than a 15-inch. BAs are tough to drive in this particular application. I'm referring to on low volumes, low power, muddy. You'd hear some mid-range, but not a great listen, not a fun listen. Turn them up, put some power to them, and then they came alive. So that's when I said it can't be an all-rounder, not for when you have to hook them up to a high-power source and turn up the juice. If you just wanted to chill, you just wanted to stick them in your ears and just on low volumes and just have a chill session, nope, SE12s are not for you. On my home system, car system, theater system, it's linear, right? Probably because there's powered subs. Even on the desk over here on my left, there's this massive Bob Carver Sunfire 12-inch 1,000-watt sub, just because I love my bass. And it's linear. Like, you get the mids, you get the vocal clarity, you get your highs, and away you go. Not particularly in the SE12. So, I mean, again, it all has to do with coming down to your personal sound preference. What do you prefer? Do you like more highs? Do you like, again, for me, I like my sub bass. I like my mid bass where it transitions into, nice, hefty male vocals, good vocals on male. I'll even sacrifice a little bit of that heft for female vocals just to get more of the warmth. And that's, again, my preference. So in the SE12, that's what you're going to get in this IEM. It is for what it is, a very detail-oriented, vocal-centric, mid-forward IEM. As some comparisons, let's just go, and this is how I'd rank them for me in my personal happy level. If I had to choose one of them, again, in my warm sound signature preference, the SE12s would be last, the Let Shure EJ07M, and then the Zens Up. So for this, the EJ07M instruments play further back in the mix. And it's kind of more pronounced. So you get more of a balance between the vocals, instruments, again, plays a little bit warmer. Bass definitely has more meat, more sub bass. And again, that's probably preference. BA tight, dynamic driver. Even with the Brilliant, the Let Shure EJ07 bass is slammy, very, very fast, too fast. You know, I was hoping it would, after it broke in, it would kind of loosen up a bit and give me some lower end, but, and it's getting there, but not, again, my 100%. Imaging, definitely more intimate here than it is on the SE12. SE12s, you could hear stuff outside of your ears and forward, like 6 feet. Very cool. Where the EJs were playing, you know, in front of you, still wide, but closer to your head. And it didn't have that, you know, really very funky spatialness in the, not just the width, but the depth. So, and again, it's more of a preference. In the 3, this one's super wide, very good height and depth. This one is a little bit more intimate, still has a very good width. And this one gets praised for its soundstage. So I guess it's kind of like if you're a soundstage monster, I think the SE12 is and vocal centric, pretty awesome for you, for sure. The EJs kill me with the driver flex. Yeah, you'd think you'd figure it out at a $700 IEM, but no. Moving on, Zen's mangered up, male vocals, fantastic. The note weight, the DD in here is it's not enough. It's I can hear more, and this is kind of the funny thing with the ups. It's kind of a really special IEM. You can hear more tings and bings in the highs over the SE12 and the Let Shure EJs. The other, and this is more bassy, sub bass, mid bass, background vocals. So somebody's singing away, and you hear like the backup vocals, and they're more present in the mix. Lastly, stage over the SE12 and the Let Shure, wider than both of the other two, but again, more intimate depth-wise, and I like it. To me, it's again, the up has a special presentation. It's so easy to listen to. It just checks all the boxes for me. And just to finish up, I mean, I guess if your preference is faster bass, zero bleed, vocal centric, you're going to love the SE12. Just be mindful of some of the things that I talked about. It could be for you. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Cheers for now. Tone Deaf Monk out. Hope it brought some enlightenment and some enjoyment to you watching my vid. Thanks much.